You know, it's been a minute since I did a Thundercats Ultimates video. Let's do a little catch-up with Wave 7 and Ghost Jaga.
It's morphin' time!
Thundercats are on the move. Thundercats are loose.
Hello, this is Soundout here, and welcome back to another Thundercats Ultimates review. We're looking at Ghost Jaga today. This is the Ghost Jaga, as well as Wave 7, which has got Willa and Snarf and Ratar-O and Mongor. So these are the five I want to look at because these are the ones that have come in. We haven't talked about the line in a while. I decided to check. I don't think I've reviewed anything since the Thunder Tank, excluding the Silverhawks, which I did review the first two waves of. The Thundercats Ultimates line, near and dear to my heart because I love Thundercats deeply. However, it is a lot of space between releases, especially when I skipped Wave 6. Wave 6 was all LJN toy color versions, so I just skipped that by because I didn't really need those. And I've skipped some of the other variants, but this is the ones I picked up, and that's what we're going to review. Now you, the audience member watching this video, if this is your first time watching one of my Thundercats reviews, please go check out the playlist for Thundercats/Silverhawks and go take a look at all of my previous reviews. They could always use some love. Thundercats being a niche of a niche of a niche means that YouTube algorithm-wise, not always the smartest business decision to do these, but I really love doing these videos, so I'd appreciate if you go check out the others if you haven't. And since you are watching this, please, please, please hit the like button. It really helps. It helps me know that you want to see more Thundercats videos. In fact, leave a comment and tell me you want to see more Thundercats videos. I'm still picking up the cartoon figures. I may have skipped over the reptile warriors, but I am picking up like the main waves and the characters. So I will be doing more, but you know, I don't know algorithmically speaking how these videos do. So please let me know in the comments if you are watching and you want to see more. Also, subscribe to the notification bell if you haven't already. I really do appreciate it. Helps the channel grow. And again, helps me do more Thundercats videos because I'm still buying the line, but if video-wise I'm not performing super well, I'm probably not going to continue doing videos because these do take a lot of work to put together. So, thank you very much for all that. Let's get into the toys. Let's get into the awesomeness itself. All five of these figures, starting with the Ghost Jaga. So Ghost Jaga was released as a Super7 website exclusive. He is a variant figure, so he comes in different packaging. Nice, shiny, reflective, metallic-y rainbow stuff. And this is one of the last figures with the slipcover this whole wave is, in fact. But here he is. So it is Jaga cast in blue plastic. I think it's pretty much the same accessory loadout for the most part as the regular Jaga, and we will compare the figure part of it. But I don't think we're going to spend too much time on him, because he is mostly what we've seen before. But on the back, of course, we have our little bio, which is, I think, the same as the regular Jaga's bio, but we'll read it for the sake of posterity. Long ago, Jaga served Cloudos, original Lord of the Thundercats. Charged with guarding the treasures of Thundera, he became a mentor to Claus' son, Lion-O. During Thundera's destruction, Jaga led the exodus of refugees. He later sacrificed himself to pilot their flagship safely into the distant world of Third Earth, yet his spirit continues to guide a now adult Lion-O, reaching out from the spirit realm in times of great need. He is Force Ghost Obi-Wan Kenobi, so let's take a look at him. Okay, so we're not going to spend too much time on Ghost Jaga here. We're just going to take a quick look at him. The thing is, he is a clear plastic casting of the Jaga. He's got the old man head. And since he is the Force Ghost Jaga, he is going to be the way that Jaga looked when he died, which is, you know, the older body. He does not come with as many accessories as the regular Jaga, which is a bit of a bummer, but also it wouldn't really make, like, story sense. So it's mostly he's just the standard body, and he's got his cape. Now, speaking of the cape, the original Jaga, which I will bring in, of course, for comparison. Here he is. Here is the Living Jaga. Living Jaga had options. You could do a cloth cape, which is what I kind of prefer with the wire in it, or you could do the plastic cape. Ghost Jaga just has a plastic cape. It's probably because making fabric materials like translucently and sparkly doesn't always work well. Look at Star Wars Black Series when they've done Force Ghost stuff. So it kind of makes a lot of sense. Otherwise, they're basically the same figure, just body-wise. The Ghost version doesn't come with this little like magic cloth like when he gave the Thundercats the clothes, because he doesn't have that. He doesn't come with the young head because he wasn't a ghost when he was young. That sort of thing. So it's very similar figures, but they're not exactly the same. And the Ghost one comes with a little bit less stuff, which is slightly a bummer because of the price, but The price hasn't increased in a few years, so I will take that part away just because of how limited these figures are, because Thundercats being niche and niche and niche, they don't make as many as they do like Marvel Legends or something. But in general, I do think it looks good. Like, it looks like the Ghost version of this Jaga. In terms of the accessories, I'm not going to go through all of them because, like I said, it just comes with a couple things. So we've got, the Jaga sword here, which is in partial transparent plastic, which looks cool. You get the Sword of Omens in partial transparent plastic, which is cool. You get the clawed hands like that. You get the kind of open gesturing hands, and then you get tighter grip hands than what are on the figure. These are the ones with the up and down wrist pivot. So speaking of, I'm not going to go over the full articulation, but you're probably wondering, how's the clear plastic QC? Because Super7, as much as I do appreciate and enjoy their figures, has had issues with joint tolerances, especially lately. Not so much with Thundercats and Silverhawks as it is some of their other lines. But overall, I mean, he feels good. I'm not going to, aggressively pose him. He is made of clear plastic, including his joints there. You can kind of see how the joint system works, which I think is always pretty neat. It's just, pinned in. It's very tight in the knees. I would be careful. I wouldn't say that you have to be like super delicate, it's made out of glass, but I would be careful with moving him, just because he is clear plastic and he is not the sturdiest figure. Just like with NECA, both Super7 and NECA kind of put on the same pedestal here of, yeah, they do some good stuff with sculpting and detail, but playability, it's not as high because they are making directly correct collector's figures. They don't have to go through all of the safety stuff that a mainline major company does. But then you also get like things like Ghost Jaga from the 1980s Thundercats, which is not something a regular company would make in a normal setting. So pretty cool. I'm gonna give him kind of these nice little floating spirit hands. And I think in general, we can bring in Lion-O as a comparison. I think it looks nice. I think that in general, so I think that like having a Ghost Jaga makes sense. To be honest, he's only technically alive in flashbacks and in the first episode, so it kind of makes sense to have the Ghost one more, I think. That's why I picked it up as opposed to other variants like Glow in the Dark Chichara or like Invisible Tiger. I just didn't need those. But this, I feel like, is the primary look for Jaga for most of the show, so it's worth getting. And it's worth it for that, but it's not super necessary if you have the previous Jaga. All right, kicking off Wave 7, we have Willa. This is going to be our last wave with slipcovers. They're removing them to keep prices down. Didn't these used to be foil? They're kind of flat now, but that's fine. Look, any cuts to packaging to keep price down is fine. It's when you cut figure stuff that I'm like, because I'm here for the figures, not for the boxes. But here's Willa. Willa's one of those characters that hasn't aged super well because this was the 1980s and she's part of a tribe of women who live in the jungle, so not the thing that's aged the best. But let's read the bio on Willa. She is one of the major characters of the show. Wise and resourceful Willa leads the treetop-dwelling warrior maidens, allies of the Thundercats on Third Earth. Though she initially distrusted the feline off-worlders, Willa recognized their leader Lion-O's valor and integrity compared to the evil of Mumra and the mutants. Together with her younger sister Nada, Willa often warns the Thunderian newcomers of Third Earth's many dangers. A master archer with an arsenal of trick arrows, Willa fights evil in all its forms. I wonder if we'll see anybody else from her tribe or if this is just going to be it. To be honest, she's never had a toy before, so it's nice to see a figure of Willa, but let's take a look at her and see if she turned out good. All right, here is Willa. Willa looks pretty good. I think overall she looks pretty nice. I think her face sculpt is interesting because she's very intense. She's got a little bit of a side eye going on, which is appropriate to her character when she first shows up. She is questioning the Thundercats. She is questioning what is going on. The only thing I think I have a complaint body-wise, I think overall she's well proportioned. She does have a little bit of a high waist because like her hips are here and her torso's here. It's a little bit like too short of a torso, but in general, it's not too bad. I think it looks good overall. It certainly fits with the Thundercats Ultimates aesthetic, which I think is appropriate. The other cool part, she does have articulation, so her head moves left and right. It's on a ball joint, but there's no up and down because it's like a solid barbell. So there's that. Her shoulders move out like this. You can also 360 them, and then you can bend her elbow. What's nice is her elbow goes a full 90, which is not common with this line. And then the elbow rotates. You got wrists. The wrists pivot in and out. She got this upper torso ball joint and a waist joint. It's kind of like the Silverhawks upper torso ball joints where it's essentially useless, which is a little frustrating. Her hips move out, just like they're detented. They move out one click, but the skirt does not get in the way, which is nice. They move forward, they move a little back, knee bend, rotation, and then, of course, she's got the good old forward, back, left, right ankle. So let's see if she can get some poses, because she is an archer, so you want to be able to have her do some archery poses. But let's take a look at some of her accessories, starting with her alternate heads and hands. So her alternate head is her smiling, which I think looks good. It does have a little bit of creep factors, because action figure smiling for some reason is really hard to nail. But honestly, I think they did a good job. She doesn't look as... I thought in the package, the alternate smiling head looked a little creepier, but I think in person, I mean, also it's not helping the shadow. There we go. She looked friendlier without the big old shadow on her face, but there you go. Yeah, it's kind of like, here's your natural lighting look, because her hair just comes down, but if we drop the light down, there we go. You can see her face. She looks a little bit less creepy overall. So for alternate hands, she of course comes with the fists packed in package. She also comes with these karate chop hands. I will say that I did accidentally do it. This is on me, though it is something to keep an eye out for. When I was putting her hand in, because I'm reviewing it and I was going quick, I accidentally cracked it. I cracked the wrist peg because I was pushing it in and the arm moved on me. So if you're going to get her, be careful, because that is a thinner peg connection than I thought. I was going a little too quick. It's on me, but it's something to keep an eye on for fragility. Plus, she comes with open hands to grip things, but let's show some of the things she can grip. So, of course, she does have her iconic knife. It does kind of loosely fit in her hand. It's not really, like, gripped super tight, but that's kind of nice because they did paint the handle, which is accurate, but that means it won't, like, scrape off. You just have to kind of, like, balance it in her hand so it doesn't fall out. What's also cool is it does store on her belt with that little sheath there, so that's pretty nice. And of course, because she's known to be an archer, she comes with a bow and arrow. She comes with multiple things, in fact. First of all, there is a unique hand specifically for holding the arrow. And the bow itself is nicely painted, but this is actually a string. So if you wanted to line it up, and this will, of course, stretch over time and get stuck like this. That is the trap of bows on action figures. But it is doable. You can do that where it looks like she's actually pulling it back. And actually, I'm pretty impressed because they gave her enough articulation range. Even though it's all single joints, they gave her enough range she can naturally hold the bow. In fact, let's see, can we stretch the arm out? Yeah, let's get the arm straight, because I remember a middle school archery class for a little bit there. Yeah, you got to have the arm straight, and then her arm like this so she can aim. And that looks pretty good. I think that's actually pretty nice. And it's nice that they included a string. Like I said, if you want to keep the string not so taut, it will eventually just stretch, because it is kind of like a little stretchy cord. It will stay in that place if you leave her display like this. I might do that because it looks really cool. And yeah, it's got that going on. But I think they successfully had her be able to hold the bow and arrow, which is great. So now if you want to switch arrows, there's a second one that has this little attachment on the end, which is, I forget what exactly it is, but it is something episode specific. Mine is a little warped, but it is like a little bomb or something, just like an extra arrow attachment. So you got that option as well. Now, if you do want her kind of just in a more relaxed pose with, that's a pretty solid cord. That just popped right back in. If you do want her with the quiver, you are going to have to pop her head off because this doesn't fit over her head and shoulder. You're going to have to pop the head and then put it on, and then, you'll be good to go. I'm going to do that off camera just so I don't break anything, but you do need to remove the head to get this on her. And there we go. So there's the quiver. She can, approximately reach it, probably about as good as any figure I've seen do it. And yeah, it looks pretty good. So if you want her like ready to load the arrow pose, so that way you don't stretch the bowstring, you have that option. If you want her in a bowstring pose, you got that option as well. I like options. Options are a good thing. And I forgot to mention she comes with these weird looking clawed hands, like she's doing something. They're strange, not going to use them, but nice inclusion. Now Willa's final accessory is her tree spider friend, Bushy. There he is. Look at him. He's cute. That's a neat inclusion. It's not like I was going to, be like, oh no, they didn't include the spider, but the fact they did is pretty nice. And overall, I gotta say, Will is one of the better figures of this line. I really don't have any complaints. I think overall, I did have the wrist joint crack here, but that was my own uncarefulness, honestly. I think overall she did turn out nice. I think she looks good, and she can pull off an archery pose. Once again, proving it's not the points of articulation that matter, but the range of those points of articulation. I've had figures that have double jointed elbows that can't do a proper archery pose, so it's nice to see that single joints can accomplish that. it's good to know that you don't have to just be like, oh, it has to be double jointed. It's just got to be having enough range to do the proper posing. And overall, I think she looks pretty good doing this. I think it's a pretty nice figure, especially because it's the only action figure she has and probably ever will get. It's nice that she turned out good. And overall, feels like a nice, sturdy release. So for size comparison, here she is with Lion-O and Snowman of Hook Mountain. As you can see, she's a little bit smaller than Lion-O, which I think is appropriate. There's not an official scale chart for the show, but size-wise, to me, it looks fine. So next up, we have a much anticipated figure in the form of Snarf. Snarf is your little, like, kind of sidekick, but kind of main character. I think he is kind of a main character. He gets treated like a sidekick, but he is important. They did pack him singly for $55, which is kind of weird, but I do think it worked out in the end because he is articulated and he does have a bunch of accessories. He sort of makes up for the price of him with later figures like Mongor. Snarf Osbert, or Snarf as he prefers to be known, was young Lion-O's nursemaid. After Lion-O grew up on the way to Third Earth, Snarf remained his devoted caregiver, sometimes much to Lion-O's chagrin. While Snarf can be pessimistic and lacks the skills of a warrior, he can also be brave and agile when necessary. Honorable, true, just, and loyal, Snarf embodies the code of Thundera, but he adds a compassion all his own. And that's what I like about him. He's nice. I don't think he's as annoying as people say, especially not compared to some other characters in 80s cartoons. Let's look at Snarf. Alright, so here's Snarf. He comes packed on his standing tail, which I think is a cool thing because in the show a lot, he will kind of perch up on his tail to like talk to people because he's, you know, kind of short. And I think that was a cool accessory inclusion. And the nice part is because it's basically he's got like a little bit of a pivot articulation here. He's balanced out really nice. Like I thought maybe it'd be a little unstable, but no, it's solid. It's like one solid piece. We will talk about in a little bit how it's also slightly a problem. But I think it looks great. Snarf as a character, I really do think he's fun. I don't know if this is just me. I don't find him that annoying. I think he actually brings up a lot of good points a lot of times. And so I like when he talks. I don't like when they are like, hey, shouldn't talk because you had an annoying voice. And I'm like, it's a cartoon. Get over yourselves. Anyways, as you might notice, the head here is ball jointed, but it's very loose. This is, I would say, a QC issue. It doesn't mean he can kind of crawl because he does look up pretty good. He actually has pretty good up range, but it is kind of loose. Shoulders do rotate in and out. You got like forward, 360. The elbows bend, the elbows rotate. You got wrist swivels. You got wrists that are supposed to pivot in and out. Not super moving on mine, so I'm just not gonna like push it. The hips move out. They move forward, back. I don't know if I don't even know if they're jointed to move out. They do feel like they move out. It's just kind of a little weird. He is supposed to have knees. They don't really move on mine. There's really a lot of spikes here, which is like hard to move it, but he does have that. Left and right ankle. It does have a joint for forward and back. There you go. Moves a little bit. Then the tail, it moves up and down on this, and then it also rotates. And then this is a ball joint here, but it just rotates left and right. So you can kind of get him posed going kind of crazy, like, there he is. I love cartoon characters, guys. They're fun. So he's really neat, and I think overall he looks pretty good. But of course, to fill out his price point, he's going to need a bunch of accessories. So here we have Snarf with his normal tail where it's all curled up. It is connected right here, and to get it out, it's a lot of force. You may want to heat it up. I didn't heat it up. It's a really solid ball joint. So you can see there, I don't think it's going to break because it's really thick, which is good. But it is just a kind of pain in the butt to switch. But again, that's good for stability on this part. So I'd say if you're going to, choose one and then just leave it. But if you're like me and doing a video, I'm going to have to swap this back at some point, I'm sure. But you can see that, yeah, that's basically where it swaps out. And then you can have your Snarf sitting on the ground like that, which looks pretty nice. So for alternate accessories, Snarf has an extra head where he's smiling. I think this looks nice. I think he's got a nice, goofy kind of smile to him. He looks happy. I like when he looks happy. That's really nice. And then he's also got this yelling face where he's just kind of like charging into battle. And looks pretty nice too. I don't think I'm gonna use this one as much. I want to talk about this though. The head joint is it's a barbell where there's a ball joint in the bottom, there's one on the top, and the one on the bottom is really low. Remember I was talking about it being kind of loose? It is like kind of ridiculously loose. And I don't know if this is just not popped in all the way. Did I pop it up when I removed the head? Let's give it some force and find out. That's why I'm doing it on camera for insurance purposes. Just kidding, I don't have insurance on this. It doesn't really go down. I think it's just there. It feels so incredibly loose. So it can be really hard to swap the heads. And then on top of that, the edges of his beard are really sharp, so be careful when using this. I don't know if this is going to snap because it feels sturdy, but it is so loose, so it's kind of like tricky to line up and then pop it on. So I'm going to probably switch Snarf to Smiling Face and then just leave him as that for the rest of the video, just for my own sake. But yeah, that's a very loose joint. I don't know if that's just me or if that's everybody's, but there's a lot of range for that to move, which is good, but it's also like, it's so incredibly loose, it's hard to swap the parts. And just my last point on the neck, at this point, it's just super loose. It was a little loose when I went to swap the head. Now it's just, he's just got bobblehead. So in addition to these hands that are kind of neutral, just kind of open clawed hands, you also get these closer gripped hands that can kind of hold stuff. Nothing he includes really is held well. He does come with this bag. You could have him hold the bag. That works pretty good. In fact, you can put the bag over his head, hopefully, right? Is it going to be like Willa where I have to take the head off? Oh, there we go. I might try this in a moment. But he does come with this bag, which is pretty cool. I like that he comes with the bag. And he also comes with these open clawed hands, which do look weird at first, but then you realize he comes with this little smoke bomb that presumably goes in his bag, and you can kind of see how they're designed to hold that. Now, it could be a smoke bomb. It could also be a grenade if you want to pretend he's now voiced by John Hurt and going by the name The War Snarf. But you do have options here. It's pretty nice. You got, bag, smoke bomb. That's probably like what I'd put him in. If I was doing like a battle pose, that's totally Snarf's battle pose. Here's our nth version of the Claw Shield and Sword of Omens. This one is a detached version, so you get the little dagger form of the Sword of Omens, you get the Claw Shield, but this one does not plug into a hand, it does not clip to a belt, it is just a standalone in case you want Snarf to carry it to Lion-O, or if you just want like this prop. Neat little bonus, though it does feel like we're getting just a ton of Claw Shields and Sword of Omens, but that's better than having none, or only a couple variants, so yeah. I'm fine with it. So as you can see, here is Snarf standing next to Lion-O when he's up on his tail, so you can see how tall he actually gets. He actually gets pretty tall, which is nice. It's kind of like how he has conversations with people. He's about, I don't know, he's a little bit taller. He's about kitten cat size for Wily Cat size. But I think overall, it looks nice. Here's Snarf with his normal tail, so he can sit on the ground or stand at his normal height compared to Lion-O, so you can see the size. I think it's a good size. I don't think he's too big. I don't think he's too small. He feels about right. And just for funsies, here is Snarf in the back of the Thunder Tank, where I have all the other Thundercats. There they are, they're all hanging out. We're going to get a new Wily Cat and Snarfer, so it'll be nice to fill out the display. But yeah, Snarf totally fits inside the back. So overall, I like the Snarf figure, but that's, again, probably just because it's Snarf. The thing is that for $55, does he feel worth it? I mean, I know you don't want to undersell the baseline price of figures, but it could have been like $45, right? I don't know how the toy physics work out. There may have been more cost things than we can imagine because, hey, unless you work in the industry, it's hard to know exactly how the industry works. You can just pick up information from sources. So the thing is that for $55, at least he comes with all this stuff and the Claw Shield. Like, they did pack him out. It's not like Black Series R2-D2. When the line started and he was $20, but yet he was, like the wrong scale and he had all of the like rotating like feature gimmicks and stuff. Like this feels more worth it because they gave him a lot of stuff. And honestly, I don't know what else they could have included with him. And I think that if he had been a pack-in figure, like many of us thought maybe they'd pack like Snarf with Wily Cat and Snarfer with Wily Kit or something. He may have been a static figure, as we had seen in the past Snarf releases. So I'm kind of glad he got a single release for that, and that's where I stand. Yeah, it probably could have been cheaper, but when else are we getting an articulated Snarf figure? Which is kind of like my thesis of collecting the line in a lot of ways. Moving on to the villain side of the wave, we have Ratar-O. Ratar-O, I wouldn't call a main villain, but he appeared in several episodes. He is, I think, important to the lore as well, because like Vulture Man was like, this is my guy, not you, Slythe. And yeah, it's pretty cool, but I like Ratar-O, giant evil rat dude. I mean, look at him. He's beautiful. So Ratar-O is a mutant commander and captain of the spaceship known as the Rat Star. A cunning military strategist, Ratar-O poses a deadly threat to the Thundercats, particularly when he wields the powerful rat's eyes in his weapons. Slythe once served under him as a field cook, a fact which Ratar-O will never let him forget. Although Ratar-O is loathed by most of the other mutants, he is respected by Vulture-Man, the one mutant Ratar-O seems to favor. So pretty cool. Can't wait to put this guy next to all of our other mutant guys, and let's get him open. All right, so here's Ratar-O. I've really wanted Ratar-O in this line because I've never had a figure of him, and he's really tall. I'm gonna raise the camera. He looks amazing. He's got like his little mustache here, his crown, his headpiece. Like he looks regal. He looks pretty cool. I did notice there is like a little bit of like oil in the shoulder pads here, but yeah, it's not a super big deal. Anyways, really nicely painted. There is a solid plastic torso here and then a softer plastic here, so that way his legs got some movement. He's got, of course, you know, feet. The texture is really nice because he's got that rat fur look to him, which means he matches the other mutants who have their kind of appropriate textures, which I think is really nice. I mean, he looks really good. He's big, solid, and chunky. That's what I really like about him, too. I think I found that with at least the Thundercats and the Silverhawks, the big chunky figures are like my favorites. I really like him. Look at this. He's huge. So let's take a look at his articulation, because that's a big question always. He's got a left and right swivel. It's got a little bit up and down, just a little bit. And that's because, I got to be careful of the mustache here when I do this, he just has like a little ball joint that has like a little forward and back, but not much. It does mean swapping the heads is pretty easy, which is nice. It's not like Snarf, where I was struggling with it. Shoulders move out. They move 360, and the shoulder pad is made of a softer material, so that way it goes all the way around. You get a bicep swivel here. You get an elbow bend, and then you also get an elbow swivel. So it's like two swivels there, which is pretty nice. You got wrist swivel, in and out pivot. Then what's really cool here is you get a big old waist turn, which is really nice to see. I was kind of wondering if he would have a waist turn, because sometimes they don't for aesthetics. Hips move out. They're ratcheted, which is nice. They move forward. They move back. His knees bend just a little bit, but because of his bulk and size, you can't really get anything out of him if he gets more knee range. Forward and back, left and right as well. And then the tail here is going to pivot left and right, and it also pivots forward and back. So you actually get it completely out of the way. You can have it like up like this if you want it like that. You can have it relaxed. It's got options, which is pretty impressive. I like it. So yeah, pretty good articulation. Let's take a look at his accessories. So much like the other mutants get a more expressive head than the main one. And these things, it's funny, when I set these down, they kind of just like to go where they want. Just keep that in mind. But yeah, I mean, here he is, got a nice like open gaping expression. He's got like one eye big, one eye little. He's like kind of angry. Wish we had some hands to go with this, but of course we do. Ah, what a perfect hand set for a villain. Dramatically pointing at people to yell at them, gesturing with the other hand. I love this. It's really cool. It gives them options besides just combat mode, and I think it looks really fantastic. So then Ratar-O, of course, comes with the rat's eyes, his two individual bladed weapons, which look pretty good. They're well painted, and they fit in the hands easily. I didn't have to stretch the hands or anything to put them in, which is super nice. He also has some effect parts. They're a little bit trickier to put on, because I think they're supposed to line up all the way down here, but because of the waviness of the blades, they can't just line up exactly, so you can kind of have to clip them in. But they do just kind of like, I don't know if you're supposed to, I don't know how you're exactly supposed to put these on, because the blades are softer material. The effect part is a little bit flexy. Like, I was trying to figure this out off camera, and I thought, let me just show my attempts on camera. I think you have to flex it around the blade to get it to hold like that. There we go. Yeah, that's what you do. These are a little bit flexy, so without breaking them, you got to flex it around the edge of the blade. Boom. Now he's got charged up energy on that. But if you want something more intense, you get these, which I'll show off at a different angle. So as you can see here, he has this little energy blast. And you're like, how does that work? Well, it's pretty simple. On this side, it's a filled-in eye. You turn it over, there is an open port, and then you can just plug in the included effect piece. And boom, there you go. There's Ratar-O firing energy blast. It looks pretty nice. I like it. I like it a lot. Let's see. Can we get some leg action here? Just so he's not just like standing stock. Can we get some like splayed leg, some tail out? Yeah, there we go. Look at that. Pretty awesome looking figure overall. I mean, that just looks fantastic. I love this kind of stuff. That's the kind of things that makes this line special. So of course we need to compare them to Lion-O for size, which you can see that, you know, they're a little bit close in height, but Ratar-O just feels bigger because he's just a larger, chunkier figure. But there is the size there. And then here's Ratar-O with all the other mutants. One of the best subsets of this line, honestly. I think they're all pretty great, and Ratar-O is no different. And I like that he looks a little bit different than the other four, because the other four are like main bad guys, and he's only a guest star. But I like that they all fit together like this. Just a great looking set of figures right there. Yeah, Ratar-O's a great figure. Can't deny it. He feels solid. Looks good. His accessories are proper and in place. I really like him. Can't complain. And then last up for this video is Mongor. Mongor appeared in the episode Mongor, and that was it. He's a one-off guy, but look at him. He looks amazing. I love when toys just do one-off characters like this, especially when they look really this cool. A vile demon with a goat-like countenance, Mongor was unwittingly freed from the ruined temple by Wily Kit and Wily Cat. Carrying his mighty scythe, Mongor grew in size and power as he fed upon the fear of others. The fiend even managed to incapacitate Tigra, Chitara, and Panthro, and seemed unstoppable until the Thundercats learned that Mongor could only be defeated if his opponent did not look directly at him. Using this knowledge, Lion-O finally conquered the demon. It's a pretty good summary. It was like a season 1, just one-off episode, but let's take a look at Mongor. So here is Mongor. Yeah, he's beautiful. I'm really impressed when we get a character that is just a one-off, but yet is so lovingly detailed. I mean, we've got crazy goat demon head looking here with his there, and his torso looks really nice, and his feathers for his legs down to his toes. They really went all out with this. This is not a character who was on my wish list, but as soon as I saw him, I was like, yeah, I need it. Look at that. I mean, even if you're not into Thundercats, that's just a cool looking figure, right? I think that's what's fun about adapting some of these 80s properties, is that they had really cool designs for characters, and they make really cool toys. Case in point. Articulation-wise, he is a little bit more restrictive than some of the others, because he's got all this long hair. His head's basically immobile. That's just how it goes. Shoulders move out, shoulders 360, bicep swivel, elbow bend, bicep or elbow swivel, wrist swivel, wrist pivot. There is a ab crunch joint that moves a little bit forward. It actually gives him some extra range, which is helpful. And he's got a waist joint, which doesn't look like one, but it does. Kind of interesting. Hips move out, hips move forward and back. There's not much there. Thigh swivel, knee bend, knee swivel. The ankle that pivots forward and back, left and right. So the only thing I did notice is that his hips, his upper is like his hips, the forward and back, a little loose, just a little bit. But I have not found that to be a posing problem yet. However, of course, he does have accessories, so the day is still young. Okay, so he has an alternate head. This is his main head. To get this off was a little tricky. With some of the other figures, you kind of just pop them off. Like, just get a good little grip, pop. He has a barbell. It doesn't move a lot. It's really nice and sturdy. But the thing is, because of his hair, there's not really a good place to grip. You can't really grip there because there's, horns. And everything is spiky on every edge. So it's kind of painful. But what I did was I ran a hairdryer on it for about a minute. Just a high heat hairdryer, just over about a minute. Loosened it up enough I could grab from about here and then just pop. Now that being said, I thought maybe can I just pop this new head on, and not quite, because I'm noticing that the hair is sitting a little lower because it was in the tray as opposed to on the figure. So I'm gonna have to heat this up to pop it on. But there's your difference. You get your kind of angry Mongor and then your very angry Mongor, and I want the very angry on. Would I have liked a little like keyed system where it just splits the head here and then you could just swap like the front part? Yes, that would have been better, but that's just not how Super 7 does things, so expecting that is it's a little out of the realm of possibility, but that is how you swap the heads, at least in my experience. So now here's our very angry head for Mongor on the body. Got it nice and secure now. You know what's the coolest part about this? Didn't even realize this is a feature. Happened to find out by accident. He's got glow-in-the-dark eyes. So there you go. You can see he's got 2 glow-in-the-dark eyes. So cool. So he's got 2 grip hands, which are pretty nice. He has a finger pointing and a dramatic fist. Plus he has 2 open hands. Other accessories-wise, Mongor has some lightning effects for his antlers or his horns. I don't know if they glow in the dark. They look like they could, but after having them charging up, they weren't glowing. So they may be glowing. I'm not exactly sure. And of course, he comes with this signature scythe, ready to reap the souls of the damned or whatever. I love the scythe. It just looks really cool. And to top it off, you do get a flame effect for the scythe, so you can just kind of line it up, slap it on, and then boom. There you go, giant fire flaming scythe of doom. This guy is too cool. He is like an 80s metal rock cover come to life, and I love it. This is the kind of stuff I live for with action figures, guys. This is just top tier stuff. I really do like them. So Mongor is pretty large. Here he is next to Lion-O, of course. Good scale comparison for a normal size figure. But is he taller than some of the other larger ones? Well, look at that. So if we go from the top of the head, he's still taller than Mum-Ra. The top of Mum-Ra's head being here. He is here. And the top of Snowman's head as well. He is taller than both, which is pretty cool, because that means he's now the contender for the tallest, especially if you go up to the top of the horns. But is there one thing that could beat him? Okay, yeah, the Silverhawks Monstar still takes the cake, but Mongor's pretty up there. He's pretty close, but yeah, I think ultimately at the end of the day, tallest single figure is probably always going to be Monstar, but still, Mongor's pretty big. You know, it's amazing when the one-off characters kind of outshine the mainstays, but man, Mongor's so cool. I love how he turned out. I'm pretty happy. It was a long wait for Wave 7, and also getting Ghost Jaga was nice. But Wave 7 turned out great. I'm actually pretty happy with all of these. Super 7, like I said, hasn't been having the best luck with QC, but for me at least, the biggest issues were Snarf's loose head, the slightly loose hips on Mongor that haven't affected him at all, and Willa's wrist being a little tiny. Other than that, I mean, Ratar-O was pretty solid. So for me, I didn't have a bad time. I really love this wave. This is the kind of stuff I live for as a Thundercats fan. Like, don't just give me Lion-O, Panther, Cheetara, Tiger all the time. Give me people like Willa, Ratar-O, and frickin' Mongor. But it's nice to get Snarf, because that's kind of a nice main addition. And I'm looking forward to Wave 8 and the future waves. I will continue to buy the line, so if you want to see more videos, be sure to hit the like and hit subscribe and the notification bell if you haven't already. Leave a comment down below and tell me your favorite figure, and also tell me if you made it to the end of this video. I know these kind of run long because I talk way too much about them, but let me know if you made it all the way. I appreciate the comments down below. If you'd like to continue the conversation, we have a Discord server in the link below. Come and join us, join in the discussion, have a good time. You can also check out our live streams on this YouTube channel Mondays at 5 p.m. Eastern. You can also find me on social media if you wish at Soundout12. If you'd like to help support the channel directly, you can join as a channel member for as little as $1 a month with member-exclusive live streams, early access at different tiers. Hit the join button down below for more details. And let's give a special shout out to some of our channel members. Special shout out to all our channel members, including our Captain Tier Infinity War Torn, Spin-54, Super Shaddix Boom, Toma K, Jamie's World, MJ Klein, The Photo Viper, Brenton Yadden, SSJ4 Jason, Oma Ender, Shinlong Zhanshi, Psycho O's, Jagger N0, Canadian Survivalist, Doge9789, Smith the Crow, Masterbin95, Infinite 1985, Jeremy Carr, and Sentai Ranger Donnie. You can also find my house graphic designer on social media and Discord at DarkClaw643. You can find Hero Club at hero-club.com. And until next time, this is Soundout saying, Thundercats, ho!